After a mad scramble to find a replacement, the UFC has finally found a surprising candidate to face Khabib for the allegedly undisputed lightweight title. Not this guy. Or this guy. But this guy. If I could shoot a picture to sum up Khabib's path to the title, this would be it. As a static boxer wrestler that likes to pull guard and go for leg locks, I am not very optimistic of Raging Al's chances. It appears that his best chance of ending it is a shot that blindsides Khabib. And that's assuming he manages to stay up for a decent period of time. Nonetheless, his coach Matt Serra has pulled off one of the greatest upsets in MMA history. So, who knows? Rather than delve on what might have been, I thought it would be more therapeutic to focus on looking at the origins of Khabib's unique mix of grappling and wrestling. So many questions remain unanswered as to the origins of Khabib's fighting style. Most of us associate him wrestling with bears as the source of his savagery. The issue becomes even muddier when respected MMA analysts also offer alternative fact explanations to Khabib's fighting origins.
And I don't believe Khabib is a Sambo player. I think somewhere he just wanted to pay respects to Sambo. I believe he got his skills that he got being Dagestani, and I believe he got them in a wrestling room. Man, Sambo's a joke. And anybody... I'm actually now taking joy in the fact that I know I'm going to offend a bunch of people. Let those crybabies cry. Sambo sucks. But Khabib doesn't. Khabib doesn't suck. He just pretends he does Sambo.
Though wrestling being the origin of Khabib's fighting style could be a possibility. Check out this soundbite from his coach at AKA, home of elite wrestling-based fighters like Daniel Cormier and Cain Velasquez.
I mean, Khabib has got Eagles MMA, and they kind of did a deal with me where the Eagles MMA guys are AKA guys.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's kind of like, to me, they're my guys. So when they come over, I treat them just like mine.
If AKA is not the source of Khabib's skill set, then what is? Here's what Khabib says on the matter.
We combat sambo fighters.
Yeah.
Combat sambo is everything. You take down like leg lock, arm. You can choke. You can do everything.
Yeah.
Why we become so strong? Because we're competition in here.
With that assertion debunked, let us look deeper. Combat Sambo's savagery goes beyond bare wrestling.
In combat sambo, we can use head. You can kick on balls. You know.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can kick on balls too. You have to be ready. It's legal. Sometimes fighters fighting and they underestimate about headbutt.
That's right. While everyone is crying about soccer kicks being too dangerous for MMA, Khabib has been dealing with nut shots and headbutts since day one. Heck, sometimes, even if you win in Combat Sambo, there's still a chance that you might get face planted during your own celebration. So, how did Khabib acquire these dark arts?
You can headbutt, kick ball.
As alluded to in my last preview, the real mastermind behind the Khabib monster that we know appears to be his father. Who is this mystery man? Why does he have such a fly hat? Why does he take group photos with all that swag? When it comes to technique, Khabib is a spitting image of his father, and his expression of Combat Sambo in the cage is a thing of beauty. Combat Sambo fills in gaps that wrestling, judo, BJJ and other grappling-based martial arts have, when it comes to their translation into MMA. In clinch battles, having a good body lock is critical. Sambo's gripping restrictions are not as strict as in judo, and while banned in judo, body lock takedowns are a staple of Sambo. Khabib's double under and over-under body locking is formidable, in the open or against the cage. As Combat Sambo requires you to attack a turtled opponent, many riding techniques found in folk style to control someone are also utilized. Throwing in a leg, to hinder an opponent's ability to get back to their feet, is a big part of Khabib's cage strategy. Riding is about inflicting pain and suffering on your opponent, to break them into conceding position or some kind of a finish. Constantly breaking down your opponent's base, and tipping them where they have no posts, a tactic common in folk style, is also to be found in Combat Sambo. Striking someone in the turtle is also a situation that occurs in Combat Sambo. The various wrist control techniques to free a hand to strike, again are a useful carryover into MMA. For more details on this type of control, do check out my Ben Askren folk style studies. Like BJJ, Combat Sambo requires knowledge of guard work, and submissions off your back. The big difference though, is the addition of striking to the mix, which results in several modifications to the grappling meta in Combat Sambo. Now passing the guard, and improving position to the mount is no longer the goal. Sambo matches can be won from staying inside control, to take positions that allow ground and pound. The assumption that striking can take place in a grappling match has several important implications to the strategy you employ. For example, now being in your opponent's guard could be a good thing. Rising up to your feet allows you to land powerful ground and pound. Furthermore, because your opponent's legs are shelved on your thighs, he is unable to pull them back to scoot out, or to plant them to try stand up. Also, how you think about the hierarchy of ground positions, and how to steadily progress to the submission also changes. There is now the possibility of using strikes to transition to different positions in order to get a submission. Mount or back hooks is no longer the holy grail. With strikes, how you conceptualize the role of the guard also changes. Rather than immediately looking for sweeps like in sport BJJ, using your guard to trap limbs becomes paramount. When your opponent's first instinct is to strike, occupying your hands looking to get under the base to sweep is a bad strategic choice. Looking to immediately trap and control posture to stall your opponent becomes the priority. Since young, Khabib's brain has been wired to approach grappling with strikes and leg locks in mind. Going over every nuance of his grappling meta would take hours, and is something for another video. What I want to focus on in closing though, is his approach to wrestling against the cage, and the options he has, once he traps you there. In part 2 of my Khabib study, I went over the generalities of the cage pinning strategy, employed by AKA fighters. In an ideal world, the opponent that is pinned against the cage, has a weak underhook or is not defending properly, allowing you to do a level change to a double. Due to fatigue or bad technique, this easy setup could happen when Khabib pins you against the cage. When you are clinching back effectively though, blocking a level change, Khabib's multi-directional body lock attacks come into play. First, if you try pushing into him, thus committing your balance forward, Khabib goes for the hip throw. Note the clever use of the cage, pushing off against the vertical face, as he plants his leg to rotate in. If you lean back, thus making throwing you forward difficult, Khabib will step around your leg to throw you backwards, where your weight is. Leaning back into the fence may stop one direction, but just opens up another. Khabib will just dig your leg out, and step around to throw you backwards. Finally, if you widen your base, so that Khabib can't step all the way around, he can go for the inside trip to throw you backwards. Sometimes, he has no time to step around, and goes for the quicker inside trip to catch you when you lean back. Khabib's Sambo background means he is comfortable with wrist control to throw, like you would, if you had a sleeve grip. This means that he can go from defensive hand fighting, to offensive throwing instantly, without having to switch grips. Khabib's father has a huge array of cage tricks up his sleeve, many we have yet to see Khabib execute. For example, using an arm spin to break out, when someone is using a front headlock to defend. Bouncing you off the cage, to create space behind you, so that he can regain an underhook. Baiting you to throw a knee, by going for the single, so that he can get the double leg. Pretty crafty, I must say. Combat Sambo is the closest thing to a complete martial art you can get. And Khabib has received training in all the various aspects of it, from one of the best coaches in his country. Whether Khabib becomes the next lightweight champ remains to be seen, but in the meantime, do let me know what you think is the best martial art base for MMA. Till next time.
Whenever I make these very clear and accurate and intelligent statements that evoke history and reality, I then have people that like to come and tell me how great Sambo is. There's never been a contender, let alone a standout, that was good at Sambo. It sucks. It's not real. It's a fake sport.
And now just want to talk about we're not Sambo fighters, we're only wrestling. Hey, please, wrestling is much easier than Combat Sambo. Because I'm wrestling too. Yeah. When I was young, I competition in wrestling, judo, Greco-Roman. It's much easier.